Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash, double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone of all well. Shalom to all the Akim that are teaching this word around the globe with faith and truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Caleb from the GMS England London Forecasters branch. Back for another lesson to help edify the Lord's elect. Excuse me, I'm still a bit tired, but as always, I like to open by saying that we are the real Hebrew Israelites, and the real Israelites, these so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians, and West Africans predominantly, but you will find Israelites that do look like the other nations because we have been scattered amongst all the nations throughout our various captivities. But if you're seed line by your forefathers goes back to the man in the Bible that was named Israel, then you too are an Israelite no matter what you may look like. Because the book of Numbers, chapter 1 and verse 18 states that your nationality is determined by the lineage of your forefathers. So I saw these newspaper articles a few days ago, and I thought it would be edifying to do a lesson on it. This is the first one. This is from Saturday, just gone, from the Daily Mail, which is one of the major newspapers here in the UK. It's about former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. It says, "I've been forced out by a witch hunt." It says, ex-Prime Minister quits as an MP, which is a Member of Parliament, over Partygate kangaroo court. He says his ousting sets a dangerous and unsettling precedent, claims political hit job is a revenge for Brexit, and attacks Tories for needlessly or endlessly putting up tax. I don't know what it says. Didn't catch that. But there you go. There's Bojo the Clown. Claiming he was forced out by a witch hunt, which is ironic because basically this whole Partygate thing goes into the fact that during the C-119 lockdown, these prime ministers were having secret parties amongst themselves while they were telling everybody else across the country that they need to socially distance from people, keep 6 feet apart, not allowed to visit relatives and shit. You had a lot of people who had relatives going to hospital during that time, and the hospitals wouldn't let families visit them, so they had loved ones dying in there, and they couldn't even see their loved ones in their final hours. They had to die alone, suffering. And you had some bullshit about fucking attending funerals, which obviously we know that the attendance of funerals, you're only supposed to attend a funeral if it's one of your direct family, i.e. a mother, a father, a son, a daughter. You know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to be going to, aunties and second cousins and, strange funerals, because when you go to a funeral, you're defiled by the dead. But anyway, that's another topic. And the point is that you had funerals occur where, say, for example, someone's dad died and the mother was there and they had 2 children, 2 sons, and they weren't allowed to even sit next to each other at the funeral service. I remember seeing one video of one woman whose husband died, and she was sitting there by herself crying, and the son went to go over to give her a hug, and the funeral staff came over and were like, "No, you can't do that. You can't do that." So, all the while this was happening to the general public, these prime ministers were having their secret parties together, laughing and joking, and it comes as no surprise because we know that whole situation was set up anyway. It was set up and it was forced, and it was just to further bring about their NWO agenda, which ultimately is going to end up with the MOTB. But the point is that now it come back to bite Boris Johnson on the arse, because now people have found out what these MPs were doing, and there's been pressure on him to resign for the longest time. He eventually stepped down as Prime Minister. Now you've got Rishi Sunak in there after that fucking Liz Truss shambles. But now he's stepped down as a Member of Parliament. But you know what? It doesn't really matter, because a lot of these guys who are former Prime Ministers, like your David Camerons, your Gordon Browns, your Tony Blairs, although they step out of the public arena They're still making moves behind the scenes. That's why you see these guys pop up every so often, like Tony Blair. He pops up every now and then and talks about like fucking we need to have digital IDs for everybody. You know, he comes out every so often saying these kind of things, which are all part of the New World Order agenda. So these guys are clearly still working, but they're working behind the scenes. So it says this is on Saturday, I've been forced out by a witch hunt. And yesterday's article headline says, Boris, believe me, I shall return to frontline politics. Now that doesn't come as any surprise because these guys never really leave. You know what I'm saying? They just start working for the shadow government behind the scenes, out of the public sphere, but they're still making moves behind the scenes. So he really ain't lost his job. He's really just gonna go behind the curtain, so to speak. But the ironic thing about this is that he says I've been forced out by a witch hunt, but yet during the C119 lockdown, MPs were encouraging people to fucking be curtain twitchers, and that if they see anybody inviting people into their homes or having parties or sitting in the park having a drink, to report them to the police. And people were actually doing this shit, and people were getting arrested and fined for sitting in a park having a drink with friends or sitting in their back garden with relatives and all this kind of shit. So the irony is that the scriptures say, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. Let me get it. Wait a second. Fuck. Hold on, let me just get my precept out. Isaiah 10 and verse 1 it is. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. I just said that, didn't I? I used the example of that funeral service where the son wasn't allowed to console his mother after the father had died. That's unrighteous decrees, man. Bear me a second. Yeah, that's unrighteous decrees. So now Boris Johnson's become a victim of his own unrighteous decrees. Now he wants to cry about it. But here's Psalm 64. It says, starting from verse 2, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. So this Boris Johnson character is basically going to be still partaking in the secret counsels of the wicked. He ain't going nowhere. Because he says, believe me, I shall return to frontline politics. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privately. They say, who shall see them? They search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. But the Most High God shall shoot at them with an arrow, and suddenly shall they be wounded. So they shall make their own tongues to fall upon themselves, and all that see shall flee away. All that see them shall flee away. And men shall fear, and shall declare the work of God, for they shall wisely consider of his doing. The righteous shall be glad in Yahweh, and they shall trust in him, and the upright in heart shall glory. So yeah, man, this Edomite Boris Johnson, he's just going to be part of the secret council of the wicked. You know, he's left the front stage, but he's still working behind the curtain. So Lord willing, that's an edifying lesson. So with that, giving all praises and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Makakodash, double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well. Shalom to all the Akim teaching this word around the globe with faith and truth and sincerity. I'm out for this one, and I'll catch you on the next one. Shalom for now. Wa ababa ba. Wa kama shalom. Shalom.